In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the Chelsea necklace. It's a very simple design, mainly stockinette stitches with a very few clusters of beads. The necklace starts at the middle, at the ring, and we knit one side and then we knit the other side. The first step is to place some of the beads onto the yarn. The pattern will tell you exactly how many beads you have to place on the yarn before you start knitting. I'm just going to put a couple beads on just to show you how to knit with it. Just a few beads. I already have a couple on the yarn. And you pull that down. And the next step is to cast onto the ring. So you take about 10 inches of the yarn, the tail, and then you're going to pull it through the ring. And you set up your hand, your fingers, as for the long tail cast on, making sure that the ring is between the two fingers. You take your needle and then you cast on the first stitch. And make sure you tighten it. Before you cast on the second stitch, you pull the short tail through the ring again from back to front, and you cast on again. You're going to repeat this 2 more times. What we're going to need is 4 stitches. So you pull the tail through and then you cast on. So this is number 3, and then 1 more time. So now you have all 4 stitches on the needle that's attached to the ring. And we're doing stockinette stitch right now, and the pattern calls for starting with wrong side, so we're going to purl the first row. The pattern will tell you exactly how many rows you have to do before you get to the first cluster of beads. I'm just going to knit a couple rows. So I'm on the right side now, so we're knitting. 1 row knit, 1 row purl. And now we're purling. I'm just going to do 1 more row, and then we'll pretend that we're up to the cluster. This you can weave it at the end with the crochet hook. So we're going to go knit, and on the wrong side we purl. And then we're going to start working on our first cluster of beads. We use the beads, we knit with the beads on the wrong side, so since we're on the right side, we are going to knit this row. And then when you turn around, you're on the wrong side, you're going to knit the first stitch, and then we're going to pull up the first bead all the way to the right hand needle. You can hold it with this finger just to like secure it, and then you knit the next stitch. And now the bead is in between the 2 stitches. Before you knit the next stitch, you just simply pull up the next bead, and then you knit the next stitch. And you do this all the way to the end. 1 more, and then you knit. So now you have your first row of the cluster of beads, and it's really only 3 rows. So the next row, since we're on the right side, we're going to knit, and when we turn around, we're going to repeat knitting with beads. So we're just going to knit the first stitch, push the bead up, and knit the next stitch. And that's how you do your clusters. Just 3 rows of beads. So you can see how you have the stockinette stitch, and now you have the clusters. Now the stockinette stitch gives it a nice dimension as it starts kind of rolling. Just gives it a nice look. The pattern is really calls for just a repeat of the stockinette stitch and the clusters all the way to the end. And when you get to the end of the necklace, the side, go to another tutorial I have on my website that's going to show you exactly how to bind off directly onto the clasp. Very helpful tips on that. Now the fun part is making the tassel. I'm just gonna cut this yarn so I can use it. You can use a tape measure, ruler. You're gonna have to cut 17 strands of 9 inches of the yarn. So we're just gonna cut a few. I'm not gonna cut all 17. We'll just do a few more. Maybe one more. And then the last one, the 18th, you're gonna make it a little bit longer, about 14 inches. So you pick up all the strands together and you take your necklace. I'm just gonna remove the needle, it's just easier to work with. You take the ring and you push all the strands through the ring at the same time. And you pull it halfway, like that. And don't worry about them, you can kind of even them out a little bit. But don't worry about it so much because at the end you can just cut it a little bit, even it out at the end. So we're going to hold the strands together and we take the longest strand and we're going to wrap it around the base closest to the ring about 4 or 5 times just to secure the tassel. Just do it one more time. And now you take a crochet hook, you go under, let me just, you can see it, go under all the strands. You take that long strand and you pull it through. And now you have to make sure to really hold the knot and pull this strand and tighten the knot so it's just the tassel is secure. And then you can take the scissor and just kind of cut a little bit at the end just to even it out. The fun part is to decorate the tassel. You don't have to put beads at the end on all of the strands. I have it here just on a few, just gives a little extra sparkle. So take some beads. If you decide to put on every strand, that's your decision. You put one bead on a threader. You take any of the strands and then you thread the bead onto that strand. And the trick part is to try to make a small little knot at the end of the strand so the bead stays on securely. I can do this a couple more times, which you want whatever amount that you would like to put on for extra added sparkle. And then just tie a knot at the end. Just gonna do one more. Just get a bead on the threader, take any strand and just pull it on. On this you make sure you try to make a small little knot. And you push the bead down close to the knot. And at the end you can, when you're all done with all your beads, you can trim the end.